Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Rebuild. I am Carmen Turner, and I'm here with my co host, Beth Borody.
Hi. It's good to be back for another week.
We are super excited about today because we are going to be talking about just like what are the things that we're doing in our daily routines so that we can show up as our best selves, and what are the things that we're really loving just to make sure that, the day goes as we're hoping it to go. I thought that it would just be a good thing to talk about like the easy things that we're doing, the simple things that we're doing so that we can really show up and enable that the day goes the way that we want it to.
And I think that it goes without saying that this kind of builds off of the conversations we've had over the last few weeks of both really feeling like we're in a really good flow right now, feeling like we're really tapping into the energy we want to be tapping in. We're building the things we want to be building, and we are putting our energy where we want to put it. And it feels good, feels like that energy is being used in the right ways. And so I'm really glad that we can chat about this because I think that a lot of what this comes down to is probably, I'm going to say, because we haven't actually chatted and we haven't discussed our answers to these
Mhm.
questions, but I think that it is probably going to be really counter to how people typically show up and how people
Mm.
typically are moving in their careers and their lives right now. So I'm happy for you to kind of kick us off and share some of what you're doing, and then happy to do the same afterwards.
Yeah, it's good because we're probably, I think, one of the reasons why I want to talk about this today is because having a good routine or having, consistency in whatever it is that you need to do to show up doesn't have to be the same thing in all the different phases in your life. And what I mean by that are there are going to be seasons where you're, it's just the circumstance is more challenging, right? Like whether it's like you've got a newborn and you're up, in the middle of the night, or whatever the circumstances in your life, you'll have times when you just can't do the things that you normally do to make yourself feel good and to make
Mhm.
yourself, show up as you want. So for me, example, like I'm going through a season of my life right now where circumstances are challenging. We're doing a renovation. My ankle is still, I'm recovering from an injury. So usually part of my routine is I love to get up early and I meet a friend in the neighborhood and we run at 5:30 in the morning, and I love it. It's dark. We have our headlamps, but I get like the workout done, I get movement done, and I just feel so clear. And I haven't been able to do that because it was a pretty bad ankle injury. And I'm just starting to get back into running, but it's like more of a run, jog, walk kind of situation. So not nearly what I'm used to doing. So for me, one of the things that I've been doing is how can I create magic in the day? How can I make things feel good regardless of the circumstance?
Mhm.
So the other thing is, feel my just being focused on the renovation. I have been doing a lot of like the driving around for the kids, for example. And so how can I create magic in the day, realizing that this moment in time will pass at some time and then it's like gone forever. So
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. It's something that I heard somewhere where someone was talking about traffic actually, and that exact thing of when you are just in the car and you're running errands is how do you actually take a pause and appreciate what you're doing or be grateful for the fact that you get to be driving your kids around kind of midday and you're not like at the office or you're stuck in traffic. Why don't you call a friend and catch up with someone that you haven't chatted to in a while and things like that.
mm,
And it's small shifts like that that I've even done even on trips back and forth to Toronto. I mean, there is never a day of the week or a time during the day when you're driving to Toronto that there's not going to be traffic. Vancouver, very similar, trying to get downtown Vancouver. And instead of just being like so irritated and frustrated with that, I've like started either turning on a really good podcast. I've listened to the Taylor Swift album 6 million times and sang at the top of my lungs in the middle of traffic because I'm the only one in the car. And it's those moments of joy that just really rewire how you then show up for the rest of the day, right? It
mm,
like brings in different hormones, it brings in different emotions, and it sets you up for something that's different, or it doesn't allow you to kind of get into that negative headspace. And I find the reason why I've been very good at this, I was actually journaling about this last night before going to bed, or that I've gotten better at this, is this whole meditation practice that I continue to talk about. I'm on day 52 of meditating every single day for the last 52 days. Um, and it has totally made my brain feel different, like on how I show up. It has made my head feel so clear and so decluttered. And like there's just space in my body and space in my head to create, to show up, to take a minute if something frustrating does come up, to like take a breath, recalibrate myself, and kind of go back at it. And as I was journaling last night, the things that I really focused on was how much more present I am for my family, how much more present I am as a parent. I'm not just trying to think about the next thing that needs to get done, and how much more present I am as a partner and a wife to my husband, where it's so easy to just kind of like be ships in the night passing each other, or just like high fiving, or just in kind of like high stress mode to get through the week and just try and get all the things done. And so I have found those moments of just slowing down. Meditation, I do it for, max 30 minutes a day. And that's not just the meditation, that's kind of like some journaling and prompting and stuff in there as well. But 30 minutes a day, how radically that has shifted how I show up in life overall.
And do you listen to like a guided meditation or visioning or
Yeah, I do guided meditations because I think that I am not far enough into this habit and practice to try and just do it on my own. I think my brain would wander too much. But I have found a few different guided meditations, or individuals who have meditations that I really like and really gravitate towards. And so I'll do theirs. And quite honestly, it was last week I did one, and it was like a 14-minute meditation. It was all about quantum leaping, and it was like that shift that happens. And we chatted about this in our last episode. And it was the first time meditating, and like this is gonna get woo woo, but like we're going there. The first time meditating where I felt like my body and my hands were so hot, and I felt like I was breathing through my entire body, and I felt like I was like being lifted out of where I was. And I was so in just like the moment, and it was the most peaceful, wonderful thing that when the meditation ended, I was just like, no, I need more. Like, I want more of
Mm.
this, because it was so incredible. And it was like 6 a.m. that this happened. So that's when I typically try and get my meditation in, as first thing in the morning. But it was like I voice noted a few girlfriends. I was like, oh my gosh, this was the most incredible experience. And then it carried with me throughout the entire day. Again, just making me show up in really different, calmer, more peaceful ways. And then I'll say the other thing about it, and the difference that I have really found with it, is I'm not freaking out about feminist stuff nearly as much. Like if
Mhm.
like an invoice isn't being paid, or a bill didn't go out on time, or payroll is being ran, or all like the logistics of the business that used to just stress me out to the high heavens, like, and I was constantly looking at things. I'm just totally like, it's all good. It's going to get taken care of. We have strong plans in place. We know what's coming. We know what's there, confident in what we're building, confident in the decisions that we're making. And it's just like brought everything down to like a reasonable level for me and for everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. I think that mindfulness and the meditation for sure. I've been doing it on and off for quite a few years, but I find that it's always something that I come back to because it's like
Mm-hmm.
the intention and mindfulness that helps you to not only giving your brain that space to not think about everything, but just being mindful of where you're at. It helps you to do that in the moment of pressure, challenge, which is just a part of life. Like I was chatting with, I'm really lucky because I have quite a few entrepreneurs in my life, my dad, my husband, my father in law. And I was chatting about like business and stuff. And they're like, yeah, like, oh yeah, that's just part of being an entrepreneur. Like, like we think like when things go wrong or when things are hard, it's like that's just part of it. Like there's no entrepreneur that's gone through like built any kind of business that
Yeah.
hasn't had like holy shit kind of moments.
Yeah. I just watched our last episode. I just had watched the Jane Goodall documentary or thing. Before this one, I've been watching the Victoria Beckham docuseries that's out
Me
on
too.
Netflix. Have you finished it yet?
The
Oh my
three
gosh.
episodes, right?
Yeah, the 3
Yeah.
episodes, and it's just what you just said about how, like, no entrepreneur has ever, like, not had these experiences. Listening to her listening to her experience on multiple accounts. One, just how she was treated as a woman by the
Yeah.
media, by the press, all of that sort of thing. Horrendous, and how she kept showing up and the support that she got from her husband in one way is just remarkable and incredible.
Yeah.
But the transparency and openness she had about her business and
Yeah.
how tens of millions of dollars she was in debt. She
Mhm.
didn't have the right partner. She had to bring
Yeah.
someone in. And as she said, really take it on the chin for like understanding what didn't go well. Had to go to her husband, ask for money, all of this sort of stuff. And then still showed up, still leaned into. She had a line where she said she realized that she had to get back to being Victoria and she had to
Yeah.
bring herself back to the brand and back to what she wanted to build.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
now she's rebuilding this empire. She launched Beauty and then Beauty took off. And then now she has this whole fashion house that she's designed. But it was that I was watching that. And I think, like, even in my own entrepreneurial journey, and I'm sure you have similar situations when you get into those moments, especially the financial crunches, you just
Mhm.
like take it on yourself and you're like, I'm a failure. I made a bad decision. What have I done to like make
It's
this
the
happen?
shame
The
versus
shame of
when,
it
like,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure, and just, like, the hardship and feeling like everyone's gonna judge me and kind of having this weird perception that this doesn't happen to anyone else. It just has happened to you.
Or I
And
really screwed it up. I really screwed it up.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually something last year. Um, so last year in 2024 with Femina, I spent a load of money on a legal agreement that we were building, and spent a load of money just on different projects that one, decisions I made postpartum that I probably shouldn't have made because I was just not clear headed at all. And then this other one was just like, in hindsight, it was the best decision I could have made based on the information I had, but it was so much money and it almost tanked us last year. And it took me so long and so much work. And I still have to remind myself to be like, it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay. You learn, you rebuild, like, and now we're in a position where our revenue has grown by 100% this year. We haven't taken on any debt this year. Like, we've done really phenomenal things, but it was like a lot of that shame from last year of just like, I shouldn't be running this. I'm not smart enough for this. I made really bad
Yeah.
decisions and like totally burying myself in these like negative thoughts. And so seeing someone as successful as like Victoria Beckham open up about like, she spent every dollar she had and went into so much debt and then had to rebuild like all
Yeah.
of this and then coming back to that like no, it comes from that drive, that passion, that values is I'm going to keep building what I know I need to keep building, was just like so refreshing to hear and so very much like right, this is something
I think
everyone
it
who's building their own thing goes through.
Yeah, entirely. I think it's so relatable, and, the fact that she had to go to her husband and he bailed her out. The other thing that I thought really struck me was how he said back in the day, he felt sad for her because she was the one that was bringing the money in, right? And then it's like the pop stars are only pop stars for so long, and then like society and the industry like throws you away, which is
Yeah.
kind of, they broke up, and then she wasn't, and then she became a mother, and then she wasn't the high earner anymore. Like, for to see it through his eyes was like just really humanizing for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then also that he still had belief in her that she could pull out of it, that she could still do
Mm-hmm.
it. She still had the fire, the purpose. And the purpose was actually closer to her than she realized, which is what you said when she redid that campaign that was all about
Mm-hmm.
Victoria. Plus, when she built like the beauty part of that, she leaned into more of who she was, which is makeup, beauty, right? That's part of it. And how did she do that? She did that by just like doing videos on Instagram of her doing her makeup tips. And
Yeah.
that's like what,
Like at her house with just stuff like in her like her mirror. And I found that super relatable because it came off of when she brought on this partner who wasn't financial. I think he was like more of an advisor, but he was
Mm,
like, close down your office, stop spending money on plants in your office, stop spending money on the image of what you feel this business should be, strip it all away and go back to what it is. And so she just
yeah.
started from her home and started building it up again. And I thought, that and those are things that you would just never know or hear about
No.
without kind of her telling this
Yeah.
story, but it's that remarkable piece of just leaning in and just knowing, "Okay, I know what I have to do, and I'm gonna" like, being so convicted with that and
Mm,
having so much personal conviction of, like, "I know what I need to build, and I know what I want to create and where I wanna have impact, and I'm gonna keep going."
yeah. That's so much more powerful than, showing the vulnerability and showing where things didn't work and how you made the wrong decision and what you did next, like, than
Mhm.
just the rosy, like,
Totally,
results that you wanna show.
totally.
Yeah, I love that. Anyways, I'm kind of sidetracked on
Well, I think it totally makes sense because it when I think about coming into this year and I think about Femina and like watching that docu-series being like, "Oh my gosh, if it happened to Victoria Beckham, then I'm totally fine with it happening to me." One of the things that I knew when I jumped in with Femina full time was that it was going to be such a growth moment for me that I had to focus on my mindset. I had to figure out
Mhm.
ways and tools to support myself because it was now all on my shoulders and it was
Yeah.
now the success. And I remember sitting down with our like financial planner is my brother. And so he kind of oversees, he sees everything. He sees the Femina accounts, our personal accounts, kind of, all of that. And I remember sitting down with him at the beginning of summer and saying, "Okay, I want to do this. Do you think I can?" He was like, "No, but if anyone's gonna make it happen, it's gonna be you." Because I had laid out, "This is what I need to take from the company." It's more money than had ever gone out to anybody in the company. And he was just like, "Nope, but I know you're gonna figure it out. Like, you're gonna do whatever you wanna do anyways." And I knew at that moment that, 1, he was correct. I was going to do it, and I
Yeah.
was going to jump. My mind was already made up whether he was going to tell me yes or
Yeah.
no with that. But I knew immediately I needed to put things in place that built my resilience, that built my mindset, because I knew I couldn't continue to be scared or frustrated with the things that scared and frustrated me about Femina. I had to be able to work through those and look at those differently. And that's when my daily routine really became different. And I started thinking,
Mhm.
what makes me a better person for as a leader, showing up? And that was like bringing in this meditation piece. It's been like at least one afternoon a week. I just block off and I go for a walk. I go like grocery shopping because I love grocery shopping. I do things
Mhm.
that give me like peace and joy and that I can just think and dream and be out there. I started coloring in my journal and like
Mhm.
I'm not artistic. I have to like preface that. I am the least artistic person on the planet when it comes to visual art. Can't do it, never been able to. But I've started just allowing myself 15 minutes here and there to just like do whatever. I bought a really cool
Mhm.
set of markers that have like that are fun to use and these sorts of things. And it has allowed me to show up and brings me so much joy and allows me to just be so much more present within Femina that we are doing it. We are, hitting all of the financial goals that we need to be hitting. We're hitting all of the timelines that we need to be hitting, but it's again releasing that control and building a routine that works for me and that brings me joy so that I fully can enjoy the process of what's now being built and not be scared of it and be fearful of what's kind of coming around the corner or whatever it may be. It's allowed me to fully just embrace being where I am now and being very present with what's being built.
That's awesome. I think, having the foresight of I need to be able to manage, like, the emotions and
Yeah.
is good. One of the things that I've been doing in this season of if you've ever done a renovation, you have just a ton of money going out. Like, you're just watching, like, you're burning money, and
Hmm.
so I knew that I needed to okay, for one first of all, we're not the first people to be doing a renovation. That happens all the time, and people get through it. But renovation is also one of the leading causes of divorce.
Oh, interesting. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is especially in a time when costs are literally 5 to 7 times more than they were before the pandemic. So
Mhm.
imagine like there's no and trades are hard to get, good people supporting you. So it's like it's just a whole other layer of pressure. So one of the things that I have been doing also this links to meditation, but it's more around learning about abundance and the
Mm, mhm.
feeling that I want to have that not only will help me get through it, but really will help me set the stage for where am I going and how do I want to feel about abundance, not just money financially, but the abundance that I already have. So there've been a couple of books that I've been like listening to and I like re-listen to it and it's almost like a meditation because it brings me back to helping me manage my emotions when the circumstance feels like very tight or pressured. So one of them is called The Having. It's
Okay.
really good, and that's about, like, creating the feeling of having like you already have what you want and feeling that, especially whenever things get, like, stressful or, limiting thoughts come up or you're in a tough circumstance. And then the other one is Abundant Ever After by Kathy Heller. That's been a really great book, and I keep going back to them to create that feeling, and to help me get through those
I will be adding both of those to my list. I think that like the learnings and feelings around abundance are just it's exactly as you said. People generally think of that from a wealth or financial perspective, which I think that's an aspect to it for sure. But it is that freedom. It's that joy of like,
Mhm,
what do I already have? And that's again, it's something that I've been able to do over the last couple months is when I feel anything kind of creeping in, it's like I have full freedom over my schedule. I have the freedom to take my children to and from school. I have the freedom to do a workout in the middle of the day and not have to put like appointment in my calendar
mhm,
so that if someone goes to check it, they believe that I'm somewhere else, right? I have so much that I'm so grateful for and I've worked so hard for, and I'm so glad that this is the life that I have, and that in itself is a form of abundance. It's like
yeah,
we are taken care of, our bills are taken care of, we are all healthy, we are, like, thriving, we have all of these things, and I say that with our because our family's had a lot of conversations, especially with going with Femina, is, like, obviously, the pay cut that I took to do Femina full time was significant, and it's enough to cover, like, our bills and all of these sorts of things, but I remember saying to a girlfriend this summer where I said, "What a privilege it is for me to be able to be in a position where I can take a pay cut." Like, never in my life did I think that I would ever be able to do that because I always thought that it's about more and more and more, more like just work harder, put more in, do more effort, get to the
mhm,
next step, get to the next title. And it's like, it's an absolute privilege to be able to say, no, I can actually make less money right now and have more freedom and have more autonomy and have more ability to be creative and work on myself and grow myself and develop myself as a leader and as an entrepreneur and a founder and all of these things because all of that income is going to come as I
mhm,
continue to build. I'm not worried about not making income. That's just like not even on my radar for that. But it's just again that feeling of abundance of like abundance for me means peace. It's like pure peace and like calmness and just like going through every day confident and calm and just knowing that the work I'm putting in is paying off and what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing and staying in that kind of flow of
mhm.
that mindset.
So, an easy way to get into that, because when you're in the moment, it can be really tough. But looking at like, what do you have in your life that you only dreamed about having 5 years ago? And then, like, looking at how far you've come, it's kind of like the gap versus the gain. Like, how much have you gained so much where you couldn't have even imagined having that? You only wished for that in your life. And then focusing on that, it's that gratitude of like having, I already have this in my life. I'm grateful for it. And I desire this.
Mm.
So, one of the things they recommended, I think it was in the having, I can't remember, but having like a having list, like what do you have already? And then a desire, like, and what do you desire to? I've heard
So
that
when
around goal set. I've done that for goal setting too, Like,
Mhm.
what do I have? Like, what have I achieved? And what do I, so for every goal you set, you also look at what you already have and what you're
Mm,
grateful for.
I like that. What is that for you when you look at what you already have? Like, how do you get yourself into that space, and what is that for you?
Well, I used to put out every day, write out what are like the 10 big goals as if I'd already achieved them. I would write them out every day. And one of them was I'm in control of my schedule and I am like building my own business. The house on like on the water where we are was totally something I had only just dreamed of.
Mm,
The kids, my family, my relationship with my husband, all of
mhm,
it really.
mhm, mhm.
Some of it
Yeah,
was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but yeah, same thing.
yeah. But it's totally that thing, and I think ones for me are so very similar. It's like it is the freedom of scheduling, the freedom of time, the freedom of control over the business. Yeah, the fact that we got to spend all summer up at a cottage that we now own, the fact that we live in a
Mm,
beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood, all of these things. Like, if I were to look at 20-year-old Beth, like, no way that she
mm,
thought that we would be here today. And for me, that's just so exciting to think about what the next actually, I was saying to my husband last night, I was like, I think I want to retire by the time I'm 55. And so that is like 16 years from now or something like that.
mhm,
38. So whatever that math is, that's the time it is. And so I was kind of like, okay, so what do we have? What do we need to continue to build for that? And he was kind of just like, oh, I don't know if that's possible. And I was like, yeah, I think that's totally possible. And again, I think look what's been achieved in the last 10, 15 years of my life without a lot of intention behind it, right? Like, a lot of
mhm,
it was either just kind of saying yes to opportunities, or there's some luck in there, or there's, highs and lows and everything in between. And I think about, well, what does that mean for the next 15 years of my life, where I can be super intentional, where I've kind of built these muscles, where I know what I want, I know what my like passions are, I know what my purpose is. Like, it really feels like the world is mine to conquer in some
yeah,
ways. Like, it's just like it's actually endless what I could achieve, and really being clear about that and writing out what do I desire is a really great way to capture that. And I think I had mentioned this on a previous episode. This woman, Debbie Millman, I think is what her last name is. She's a designer, an interior designer in the US, very well renowned, but she also does a lot of like designing your life. And she was on the Mel Robbins podcast, and she
oh,
said to
yeah,
write a
yeah,
list of 100 things. And so I have my list. I still haven't gotten to 100, but I'm at like 70 something things to achieve in the next 10 years, or that you just want
ooh,
in the next
I
10
love
years. It's
that,
not achieved because you need to not go into probability
right,
or reality. It's kind of like whatever is possible to whatever comes to your head. And then you're supposed to just put it away and just let it
mm,
be there.
yep,
But I think I have 76 or something like that. That's on my list right now. But it's such a fun exercise because it taps into that ability to just dream and be. And I think that that is so important for people to do whenever they can, whether it's
mhm,
5 minutes a day, whether it's an hour a day. I think that that ability to unlock that creativity and the possibility that you see for yourself,
mhm,
regardless of probability or anything like that, is just such a powerful tool to put you where you want to be, and just
yeah,
let you feel those feelings of what you want to be feeling.
yeah, definitely, that's like there's so many parts of our daily life where it's like pressure, pressure, but like we don't give ourselves the time to.
Yeah, totally.
One of the things that I did, like, rather than forcing yourself to finish something, to do something, like noticing when things are just not working in the day, when there's like pressure, when it's like you're coming up after block, I just said, screw it, I'm having a bath. I drew a
Nice.
bath
Yeah.
and I actually, yeah, did did a meditation in the bath and I just like it was good. It was exactly what I needed, like to pour back into
Yep.
myself.
One of the things that I've done more recently is cooking dinner again,
Mm,
because we would get so busy, particularly before when I had my role with Irma and with Femina. There just were not enough hours in the day to do everything. And my husband's job is very busy. And we were just like ordering Uber Eats like 6 out of the 7 nights of the week and eating leftovers the last one. Like it was just food, like whatever we
um,
could, we know what was for dinner, just order something. I don't care, put it on the table. And we have been so much better. And again, it comes down to that freedom of schedule piece where I really try and close off any calls that I have by 3 p.m. because my brain just doesn't
mm,
function after that.
yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
much more of a morning person. I'm much more creative in the morning. Poor Peggy gets like voice notes from me at 6:30 in the morning when I wake up type thing. But I now then have from like 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock, that's kind of like this free buffer time. And where I know that if I start cooking or I start doing like getting dinner ready, my brain
Mhm.
is just working in the background. It's thinking about things that happened in the day. It's thinking about conversations that I had. It's kind of just like allowing everything to settle while
Yeah,
also then we're eating better. We're eating more like regularly. We're better ingredients. Like it's another creative outlet. And it just allows me that time to just
yeah,
just do something else. I bought a cute apron that I wear because it
yeah,
makes me feel good while I cook, and I bought like little dishware that I like. And I'm like not, I'm a pretty average cook, like average at
yeah.
best, but it gives me that time and gives me that kind of delight in the day to be able to do that for my family. And one of the things that I
Mm,
absolutely love and I always have with my family is family dinner. Like everyone's sitting around the table and eating dinner. And that was certainly not happening. It was like just grab food. I don't care if you eat in front of the TV. I don't care if you
mm,
eat in front of your computer. Just like everyone eats. That's all that mattered. And now being
yeah,
able to like have it where we sit down and we have it all together, it just is like it's awesome. And it gives that same sort of
yeah.
feeling.
We do dinners pretty much every night as well, but it's we're in a period stage in our life where I was talking to a friend about this. It's so strange because our kids have activities between like
Mm,
I'm picking them up from the bus around 4 p.m., leaving the house at 3:45, get home, quick snack, turnaround, and then before 5, we're out the door. We're not back till 7:30.
yeah, that's
So
hard.
that's yeah, and this is Monday to Friday.
Woo! Yeah,
So
okay.
that's like 20 hours of your week
Yeah.
you're driving.
Shuffling children.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not gonna be forever either.
Mm, mhm. I remember having that conversation with Jeremy when Rose was really little. So Rose will be
Mm,
2 in December, and I feel like we are just now getting to this point where she is getting a bit more predictable, her schedule's a bit more predictable,
mm,
especially, like, sleeping, wake up times, that sort of thing, because I remember about a year ago having a conversation with him and just feeling like, how are we going to survive this? Like, how is our marriage going to survive? How are our careers going to survive? How am I going to survive? Like, this is so hard. And I remember him
yeah,
saying that, where he was just like, this is the moment that like, we weren't going on date nights. We weren't like doing anything for us.
yeah,
Like, we weren't seeing friends as much, all of that stuff. And he was like, it's just the phase we're in. It's this time. She's little,
yeah,
it's newborn.
yeah,
Like, this is just what it is.
yeah,
And so you're totally right. These phases don't last. The hard doesn't last. And it's our favorite, Glennon Doyle, and it's the we can do hard things. And it's reminding yourself that these phases do change and you have the highs and you have the lows, but it's like, how do you really pour into yourself when it is in those good states, so that when that hard does come or those downturns do come, you have the
mhm,
resilience built to take care of that. And I think to both of us this year, we both sustained significant physical injuries this year that really rocked how we showed up, right?
mhm,
Because we're both very physical people, we're both very active people, and we were both very much knocked off of our feet. And I've often thought about that with my injury, where I think if this would have been 2, 3 years ago, it would have absolutely floored me. It would have totally destroyed like my confidence. It would have destroyed me. I would have gone into a very like depressed state. I would have had a really hard time kind of getting through that. But because I've done so much work on building resilience, building kind of my capacity, yeah, it sucked big time. And some days it still really sucks. but I found other ways to find joy. Exactly as like how you started the podcast. It's like you find other ways to show up, and you find other ways to enjoy what you have, even if you have to adapt. And so it's
Yeah.
building those tools, it's building that resiliency. And I don't think you can build those tools and resiliency when you are in high stress or burnout states. Like you have to have
Yeah.
the ability to be calm, to be quiet, and to have space to just like allow yourself to be and rebuild those things.
And that's where I kind of started with, which was like finding the magic in every moment
Mm,
because our kids are watching too. They're watching how we
mhm,
manage stress, they're watching how we show up. And like, this is such a short time in our lives. How do we create magic for us, but for them too? So then
mm,
it's like, yeah, maybe we're not going out for dinners, but look, let's create like this picnic outside. We
mm,
have
mhm.
like everything around us right now, like everything that can be amazing right now already. And
Yeah, yeah,
how can we do that for them and for
yeah,
us?
yeah. It's like creating those memories and being very present. I think, I mean, I've heard it a couple times, but it's the whole idea with kids as well that by the time they're 18, you've spent like 90% of the time you're going to spend with them.
Mm,
And we were just jumping into this call, like your son just turned 14 this
yeah,
past weekend, right? And like
yeah,
Judah turns 10 in 2 weeks from now. And so it's like, how fast that time is gone
yeah,
compared to what that's going to be by the time they leave the house and they're moving
yeah,
on and that sort of thing. It's like, no, I very much want to be present and make those memories and show them what a good life is outside of possessions, right? Show them what
yeah,
feeling good looks like, show them what doing something you love looks like, showing them what hard work looks like, and then
mm,
being really present for them. And that's a shift in our family
yeah,
because I'd say for the first half of Judah's life, if not a little bit more, that was not what he was getting from me. He was getting
yeah,
me on a plane all the time, away for work all the time, to the point now that like I travel once every few months at this point, and he still gets really worked up when I leave because he panics that it's going to go back to the way it was before, right?
mm,
And it's again, really just having that clarity on what is the life I want to live. And then how do I make sure that I'm supporting myself to continue to live that life? And what am I
mm,
doing to make sure that I have healthy routines and habits? I mean, I have unhealthy ones too. I binge watch reality TV better than anyone else, but perhaps that's also slightly healthy because it gives me an outlet. I don't know, but it is just that work of being really intentional about how I'm spending my time and energy.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. And like our kids, they only get us for a certain amount of time. We
Mhm,
want to, do you want to be stressed 90% of that time when you're
mhm.
with them? Or can we manage that? Find a way to do it differently. It doesn't have to be that way,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Well, I think that's good. I think we've landed
Good.
the plane
Yeah.
today. This is
Good. Good, good, as we always do, as we always
yes.
do. No, I appreciate this, and I think one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna, like, reach out to all of our listeners, and we're gonna ask you guys what you wanna hear more of and what topics we can cover, so get ready for that, but I always enjoy these little chats and look forward to chatting again next week with you.
Talk to you then. Podcast. If this podcast resonates with you, it would mean so much to us if you could take 30 seconds to follow or subscribe to The Rebuild. This will make sure that you never miss an episode. Just go to the Rebuild Show page on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and just tap the plus sign on the right-hand corner or click follow. This is super important to our podcast. While you're there, if you'd be willing to leave us a 5-star review and share an episode you love with a friend, we would be incredibly grateful. We love you and appreciate you very much.